Today I'm reviewing Volume 3 of Tales from the Gas Station. There's a common thing with book series in general, where by the time you get to the second or third book, often you want to shake things up a little bit. Volume 3 does that to a degree that I was reading the book, and I was like, how is this going to work? How is this going to function? Like, how do you... Because I know that there's a fourth book. I own the fourth book. How does the story continue from here? Because a lot of characters die throughout the whole story. There's just crazy mayhem, apocalyptic scenarios. Our main character completely loses his mind. You're not sure, and then he's an unreliable narrator, so you're not sure how much of this is actually happening versus what is just like his delusions. And I mean, it's not bad by any means. It's still full of the sardonic wit and everything that you love about the series, but it is such a departure from the other two books. And I mean, I was along for the ride the entire time, but it was just it just caught me off guard with how far Jack Townsend was going with some of this stuff. And again, there are some really interesting, cool concepts in here. There's a radio that is constantly reporting on everything happening in the world. Like every second of the broadcast is like, John Doe has just died from XYZ, or Jane Doe has just gotten into a fender bender. With the story, the further it goes on in the story, the more we recognize the characters that are being talked about on the radio. It begins just saying some truly odd stuff that would be very unsettling. I think the concept of that is really interesting, and it's done really well here.
This video doesn't have a sponsor, but if you'd like to support me making more videos like this, my book Ashwood is out right now. It's a supernatural thriller with a touch of psychological and supernatural horror. It's set in the late 1980s in a small town in the Ozark Mountains in rural Arkansas, and it follows 5 kids as they uncover a series of strange disappearances and a conspiracy throughout their town. It's 500 pages. It's based on a series of cold cases from Arkansas in the 1980s and takes inspiration from Stranger Things, Stand By Me, and Twin Peaks. For YouTube viewers only, I have a special sale going on right now. It's 20% off if you use the link in the description. That's 20% off if you click the link in the description. Thank you so much. Let's get right back to the video.
Not to spoil things too much, but in the book, these things called mimics are introduced, and they replicate other characters in the story and look exactly like them. As implied by the name, they mimic the other person, and then you can't tell which one is which. And they kind of played around with that a little bit with the demon in the second book. Spoilers, I guess, if you're watching a review for the third book and you haven't read the second book. I mean, thank you, but why are you here? And so there's some interesting stuff with that, especially as Jack increasingly becomes more and more of an unreliable narrator. You're wondering, because within the story it's justified to kill these mimics because they are malicious beings. There's always something weird happening at the gas station. So you're not sure to the extent of how much Jack has lost it in the story. And by the end, it does all get wrapped up into a neat little bow. Very slight spoilers, but it returns to status quo in a way that I was not expecting it to do that at all. I'm still not sure how I feel about it, but I'm conflicted because I did enjoy this book, but it kind of feels, I wouldn't say unnecessary, but none of the consequences of this really seem, at least from what I can tell, seem like they'll be carrying over into the fourth and final book. I enjoyed the ride and everything getting there, and I thought there was some actually like really interesting stuff done with the concepts that were introduced in this book, but I feel like the ending soured me a little bit. Overall, it doesn't fully detract from the main story, but I'll have to see what happens in the fourth book and how much of it carries over for me to, I think, get my full feelings on this. I think the positives definitely outweigh the negatives with this book. There is a reveal later on, like a secret villain reveal. One of the characters that you knew throughout the series turns out to be a bad guy. The Tales from the Gas Station series really likes doing that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this book, it was definitely a case of not working for me, but that's okay. It didn't ruin the story by any means. And I mean, as always, there's a ton of funny interactions and just wacky slapstick stuff that shows up throughout. The Judeo-Christian devil makes an appearance for like 2 pages. It's a good time. As always, I had a ton of fun reading this book, and any gripes that I have with it are like having gripes with ice cream. Everybody likes ice cream. It's just about what flavor or what toppings you want on it. But at the end of the day, you're still getting a bowl of ice cream. It definitely switched up the series, and reading through it, this was going to be my second favorite, if not favorite, of the stories overall. And I liked how far the author was taking it with the fates of these characters, and I'm giving Tales from the Gas Station Volume 3 a 6 out of 10. It gets a couple things wrong, but it's far outweighed by the stuff that it does really, really well. And I like the switch up to the more apocalyptic tone and all of these crazy things happening, and the deterioration of Jack's mental condition and some revelations about his mental condition that come later on in the book. I really, really enjoyed that, and I think because it was all returned to status quo, that I've mentally soured on that a little bit. That doesn't take away from how much fun I had reading the book. And there's a little tease at the end that gives me hope for the fourth book, and some weird reality stuff happening in that, where one of the characters reveals that they remember everything that happened. So I'm interested to see what happens with that and where it takes it and what consequences are brought over into the fourth book. It deserves a 6 out of 10 because to go 3 books in a series and not have a significant drop-off is a hard thing to do as an author, and it's just a hard thing to find as a reader. So I definitely applaud Jack Townsend for that. Obviously, if you enjoyed the other 2 books, I would definitely recommend it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I do appreciate it. Don't forget to do all of the silly YouTube stuff. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, offer up the soul of your firstborn child in the comment section. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.